During my research on nail trimming, I came across this product called a grooming sling, a grooming hammock. To see pictures and or video, you can do a search on Google or YouTube for grooming sling, a grooming hammock. You can also look at Google Images and Amazon or eBay. Now, ideally, instead of a sling that restrains your dog, our goal should be no restraint, where we help our dogs feel better about nail trimming and other grooming procedures. But for those who do need to restrain a dog, this seems a lot safer than having a dog up high with a slip leash around his or her neck. But if you do use a sling, consider some alternatives to grooming tables. Perhaps the sling could be attached to something sturdy at the roof of your dwelling. For a smaller dog, you might be able to even swaddle the dog close to you if there's no danger of being bitten, or maybe use a muzzle. For a smaller dog too, you might consider clipping the sling to a large wire crate and going inside the crate to do your grooming procedures. Because a lot of grooming procedures are scary enough as they are, but then adding the dog to the height of the table, and some tables are wobbly, that just makes it more scary. Of course, if you have a physical condition that limits squatting down or getting on the floor with the dog, then a table might be your only option. Now, just like with any procedure, we want our dogs to feel better about it, so we also want to ease our dogs into the grooming sling. We might start with something a little less intrusive than a sling that might be new to the dog. Maybe start with a towel, putting it under the dog, maybe lifting slightly up with a towel, and be sure to give your dog treats for each step in the process. And don't let the sling always predict bad things. Don't only use the sling when you're ready to do a scary grooming procedure. You can put the sling on, take it right back off, and go take your dog for a walk. Or put the sling on, give a couple of treats, and then put it away. And then every once in a while, you might actually do a grooming procedure like nails. But make sure that there are more fun procedures that follow the sling rather than non-fun procedures. Some video on ways we can help our dogs feel better about a sling. We'll start with something that's easy for the dog. In this first clip, I'm actually just using a doggy coat, and I'm paying Puddin for getting on top of the coat, for letting me pull on the coat, and for letting me tug at the coat a little bit.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Here I'm testing out a comfy control harness because it might feel a bit like the grooming harness or the grooming sling, but it's a lot more lightweight. So once again, we want to start with something easy for the dog. Another option for gentle restraint might be this Makudi dark harness that Puddin is already wearing. This is what she normally walks in, and normally I only clip a leash to the back middle ring. But as you can see on this harness, there are two rings on the side. There's one in the back and there's one in the front. So if leashes were attached to all of those, it might be a way to gently restrain a dog that doesn't fight that much. But once again, use a professional when working with any of these. Murphy can sometimes be a little leery of new objects. So for a dog this nervous, I wouldn't start by touching him with the sling. I would actually put the sling or something like the sling on the ground and not even encourage him or anything. Just lay it down and let him decide when he wants to investigate. If I happen to see him looking at it or sniffing it, then I can reward him for that. And later I can add in something more difficult, like actually picking it up and feeding him, maybe picking it up and moving it towards him and feeding him, maybe barely touching him with it, then feeding him, and so on and so forth. Ideally, nail trims and other grooming should be stress-free and voluntary for the dog without any type of restraint. For more on that, Please Google Stubby Pudding Nail Trim Saga.